What's up, my friends? Today I am breaking free from the supermarket chains and I'm gonna produce my own eggs from here on out. So to help me out with this, I got my brother Rick, who's been raising his own chickens for the better part of a decade now. So he's gonna help me get through some of these learning curves, help me not have to endure all of the pain of a new learning experience. So Rick, what did you learn owning your chickens that you can pass on to help me avoid some of those easy mistakes?
Yeah, I'm super excited to dive into the build, and that's what we're gonna do here today. But a couple of things that we're gonna include in this design are things that are gonna help us a ton with automating. Because I know you want to have your kids involved.
Very much.
And so we've got to basically make everything simple enough that a 3-year-old can do it. That means the watering needs to be super simple. You've got hose spigots really close by. We're gonna make it so that we can just basically fill up a tank, and it's probably gonna last your chickens a week, even with a bunch of them. Same thing with the food. We're gonna make the feeding easy. Your kid could literally scoop, to fill that thing up, and it's gonna be able to feed them for days. Nice. We're gonna make the collecting of eggs super easy. One thing that chickens will do, and we didn't have this issue fortunately, but I've heard about it, where a chicken breaks an egg, they start pecking at, because they peck at everything, or even they just peck at the egg. And when that happens, they realize this thing tastes good. And then they start eating eggs. From then on, they'll just eat the eggs when they have them. So it sucks to have to get out there and get the eggs like immediately, like nobody's doing that, right? So we're gonna make it so that the eggs roll away from the hens. As soon as they're laid, they're just gonna roll away. It's gonna keep them clean. It's gonna prevent them from eating their own eggs. Every automation we can have, I think that's what we're gonna wanna include in this chicken coop. Awesome. But we're gonna do it without breaking the bank. You can spend a fortune on a freaking chicken coop. The point is, we're trying to save money here, and be more self-reliant.
Absolutely. At $6 a dozen, if I spend $1,000 on this chicken coop, it's gonna take a long time to pay that chicken coop off.
That said, I hear you guys go through a lot of eggs.
We
do.
It
won't take as long for you as for some people.
Well, so I was doing some math, and as a family between the 4 of us, we go through about 40 eggs a week.
That's quite a few eggs.
Now, we have them for breakfast most days, but we also like to do a lot of baking.
Yeah.
And oftentimes eggs are required in other recipes. So having extra eggs more so than just what we eat for breakfast is important to calculate in. Plus, we have 3 dogs. And in doing some research, I found out that eggs are an incredible supplement to a dog's diet. So it's something that I'd like to incorporate in their food, and something that makes me feel better, because if I'm not able to go to the supermarket for whatever reason and buy more dog food, I'll have a way to produce food for them right out of my own backyard.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. So let's see, your family's 40, how much for your dogs?
I'm thinking 20 a week.
So we want 60 eggs a week. Most good laying varieties of hens are gonna do a pretty good job in their prime, at least, of giving you about an egg a day. We consistently would get about an egg a day.
Nice.
But they do slow down. And then there's also the molting season where you could lose egg production entirely for a couple months, which sucks. So maybe just plan for round number sake that you're gonna get 6 eggs in a week per chicken.
Okay.
So 60 eggs a week divided by 6 eggs per chicken.
I think I can do this math. We need 10 chickens.
We need 10 chickens.
10 chickens. So then how much space do you think we're gonna need for these 10 chickens?
A good rule of thumb is about 3 square feet per chicken in a hen house.
Okay.
That's plenty. So if you have 3 square feet per chicken, you're gonna be able to handle more than just the 10. So if you have at least 30, you're gonna be good to go, even if you need to grow your flock.
Good, because I think we may wanna scale up down the road if there happen to be more members of our family, or if we find out that we're going through eggs a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Plus, we're able to store eggs. You can water glass the eggs and save them for the winter, for the molting season. So having more than what we're actively using is an important consideration.
Plus later, when your chickens get old, and they get old after just a couple of years, right? By about year 3, their production's gonna start declining. Yeah. And unless you're planning to just all right, as soon as your production starts to decline, you're out of here. Unless that's what you're doing.
I think we'll be a little attached at that point.
You're gonna wanna be able to supplement a couple younger ones coming in to just keep the egg production up and to replace them as they start to age out.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So
at least 30 square feet.
At least 30 square feet. Now, I have some extra material from other projects. I have some extra decking, 4x8 sheets.
4x8. It's 32 square feet.
Yeah, so I think that will be a perfect footprint for our hen house. And then we'll construct the rest around that, adding in automated feeding, automated watering, automated egg roll away.
Egg harvesting, whatever
Yeah.
that means.
Doesn't quite bring them in the house for me.
Not
but
quite.
Separates them from the chickens.
Right. And then you can get your kids to be involved and responsible for
I can't wait for
making
that.
sure that they have their food and water, but also making sure to collect those eggs every day, bring them inside. I think we've got a good plan.
Let's put some posts in the ground. Let's get that cement drying so that in a few days we can throw a deck on it. And a few days after that, have a chicken coop.
Sweet.
Let's get
Do
going.
it.
All right, we're back on the project today. Yesterday I was able to get the deck on, and you'll notice there's a little bit of a slant to this direction. My brother-in-law was telling me that as far as cleaning out the chicken coop,
I'm not sure anybody's going to notice that because it's a really slight slant, but it is. Trust him.
there is a slant there. But I made it so it will drain out towards the back door where we're actually going to be cleaning it out from. Now, I got these laying boxes already installed as well because I want to be able to frame around it, siding right over it. Gonna throw some turfs in, have a little door here that my daughter's gonna be able to harvest eggs. It's gonna be perfect. But before we get this all framed in, I wanted to figure out what we're gonna do about feeding and watering. So I was telling Ricky that I was gonna have the feeding and watering built into the coop, but he's telling me that's actually a bad idea.
Yep, I do think it's a bad idea. And that's because from my experience with chickens, first of all, with the food, they like to scratch, right? In fact, that's normally how they would eat when they're outside. They scratch at the ground. then they look for movement of bugs, and then they eat. Their eyesight's horrible, right? Okay. So they scratch at the food, and so you're gonna get wasted food all over the place. And with that inside of your hen house, it's just gonna get nasty in there. And then same thing with the watering. The water they're drinking, some of it's gonna drip onto the ground.
Okay.
So again, you're not gonna want that on the wood so much. I think you're gonna prefer to have that outside. So typically, you're gonna have your food and water somewhere outside of the hen house. But
that makes sense. I did want it to be attached to the structure and accessible from the outside, so we don't have to go in the coop and get poop on our feet every time we need to put some more food and water out.
Exactly.
So how do you think I can make that work where it's still attached and accessible from the others?
Yeah, so I'm excited to actually do this because I think it's gonna be really awesome. It's pretty similar to what I've built out at my place. So we're gonna put a feeder right here that we can mount right here on the side. And then at the bottom, we'll slant it inward. So it's just gonna be like a rectangular box, right? And then we'll slant it inward and have it come out at a little tray kind of at ground level, right here where Maverick's eating. We'll do something similar with water. We can either mount a water tank or we can put a little like platform right about here and have a water tank right there. 5 to 10 gallons is gonna last quite a while, even with the 10 chickens. And that's cool because then you can just fill that tank with, we got a hose spigot right over there. They can just top it off, the kids can. And then we'll run from there. We'll just basically plumb in a PVC pipe, about 1-inch PVC, that will come down here and mount right here on this post and go straight across. And so we'll run a PVC pipe from this post to the back post, right along here. And then along that PVC, we can have just these little like chicken watering nipples. They work great, and we'll probably need about 1 for every 2 to 3 chickens. I think if we put 5 on there, that's gonna be awesome. And they'll have plenty of space there, and it's gonna make watering also fully automated. All of it just mounted right here. In fact, everything the kids need to do to take care of these chickens, other than like cleaning it out, will just be right here on this one wall. So super excited.
All accessible from outside the coop.
Yeah, oh yeah. Make it super easy.
All right, let's get it framed in.
Yeah.
Now, I'm way too cheap to buy 2x4s, so I'm ripping some of my milled live edge slabs into lumber. These ones have a lot of imperfections from bugs and cracks, so I didn't feel too bad cutting it up into dimensional lumber. And it's important to square up your lumber ends when framing, so here I'm chopping off any splitting from the ends and giving myself a nice square end to work with. And on to our first wall.
cable up top.
Yep. Lots of airflow.
And the predator wire under here.
Yeah. And down underground a little.
Yeah. We'll have a drain.
Nice.
Put this up. All right, Rick, what do you think?
I think that's a little short. Just hit
For
my head
you.
on it. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah?
Nice. Casa de Pollo.
You like that?
I like that.
The chicken house.
Yeah. Yep.
Got to make sure my kids know just enough Spanish to be able to order me tacos. So,
yeah, no, this turned out amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. You even painted it to match the house.
you know, I had a ton of leftover paint from when we redid our siding. So I was able to make it match without having to spend a fortune on new paint.
I mean, that's really like one of the big takeaways from this whole project was just how much of it you were able to do with just stuff that you already had lying around, scrap wood, even this thing.
Yeah, just left over. It was a friend of mine's storage unit that needed emptied out and had this kind of old style looking water container. I always thought it looked cool, but had a broken spout, so couldn't really use it. But I just connected the PVC pipe in such a way that this is going to be my water reservoir for my chicken watering system.
It's going to hold up a lot better than the plastic bucket I have at my house where the lid is, it cracks up every year. I have to replace it every year.
Right.
This is actually going to be really nice.
Well, and it's already insulated.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I need it to be.
Actually, yeah, that's amazing because like in the winter, it's going to be a lot easier to keep that from freezing.
Absolutely.
In that insulated container. You got your feeder here.
Yeah, which reaches down underneath the coop. So when the chickens are hanging out underneath the hen house, we'll be able to just fill the feed in from the top here. And then there's a little tray down there underneath that they'll be able to peck at.
That's awesome.
And it's a height that my daughter will be able to fill. And soon my son. So they'll be able to do pretty much all the maintenance.
Again, so easy a 3-year-old can do it, right?
That's the idea.
I'm thinking
all these things are built to that standard.
You could even have your chicken feed like in some kind of a bucket or can out here. So that, and with a scoop, and they could literally just fill it.
That's what I was thinking. I could just put like a small like trash can or something like that.
Right.
Maybe even put a small step here to make it easier for them to reach.
Yeah.
But make it as simple as possible.
Beautiful. And then here we can collect the eggs. They're just going to roll forward, which is awesome.
Yep. Got the roll-away design. So as they're laying inside, the eggs roll out the back, keeping them from getting pooped on, getting any extra dirty, or heaven forbid, having chickens eat them.
Nice.
So they should be nice and safe.
Security light there?
Yeah, I pulled this off in my shop. I had an extra one. I replaced the lights on the shop. So had this sitting around and figured in the winter when it gets dark at 5 o'clock, it's going to be nice to be able to come out.
When you're walking up, it'll turn on for you and
be ready to go.
Yeah.
So this is powered by solar as well as the chicken door that we have over here.
Nice.
And then the automatic chicken door here has a photo cell, so it just opens and closes with the sunlight. Or I can set it to a timer, so it'll open and close at a preset time.
Does that have like a battery that you have to change out? Or
it has a battery built into here that's powered by the solar panel. The product label says that
there's a little, it's like that big.
That's all it needs, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it said that this battery would last for 6 months without any electrical input. So I think it just doesn't really need all that much power.
No,
so that little panel is more than enough to make this thing run. And I'm actually pretty stoked about this little chicken ladder that I made. It's a piece of live edge that I milled myself and then put these little ladder pegs on there so they'll be able to climb in and out easy enough. But I charred it really well so that it'll be able to withstand the elements. But it is partially covered by the roof, so shouldn't get too messed up, but it's a chicken ladder. So
sweet. That looks amazing. So really, we're just going to have some of this predator wire for a chicken run that will extend out further.
Exactly.
But other than that, your hen house is done.
It is
ready for some hens.
Yes, it is. And we're hatching our own chicks inside right now.
Yeah.
We just put a few in the brooder box, so we're still a number of weeks away from them actually moving outside. So I got plenty of time to get it all fenced in. Plus, with the cost of fencing material, these 4x4 posts were a small fortune.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to buy 12 of those to finish out my run. So we're waiting until the snow melts up at the property so we can go up and mill our own fence posts. Yeah. So in a few weeks, we'll have those and we'll be able to finish the chicken run.
Sweet.
But let me show you the inside before we... So coming around this side, we have the man door over here. I made it big enough that I can climb in here just barely. And then these roosting bars are actually lilac from the property. We've had these lilac bushes surrounding the house
The
for
entire
years.
property.
In fact, they were trimmed 20-something years ago by you.
By me.
And a friend.
And a friend.
Yeah, cut them down to like 6 feet, and they've just gone nuts ever since. So, anyways, I'm trying to trim them back into a tame status. Anyways, I got a bunch of extra pieces, put them to good use with something like this. And then underneath here, I was gonna predator wire in around this whole side, but realized I needed access on this side if I was going to be able to sweep out any food droppings, water droppings, anything like that. So I made it so that this panel could be completely removed so that we're able to rake out whatever mess they generate while eating out of their box or drinking out of their watering system. Also, I needed to have access over here if I ever hope to get this watering system pulled out. There's this horizontal PVC pipe with 6 horizontal drips on it that the chickens are able to get water out of. If that ever gets dirty and I need to pull it out, or if it starts leaking and I need to be able to fix it, if I have predator wire wrapped around this whole thing, it's going to be
Crawling underneath
a huge pain to get out. I'm going to have to pull the fence in order to do so. So I made sure to think ahead about what type of maintenance I'm going to need to do on the coop, such as sweeping out the inside, cleaning out underneath the coop. And I made sure to design access to those areas so I'm not hating my life in the future when it comes time to actually do those chores. So made this bad boy separate. We'll be able to screw it up here just like so, and finish getting the rest of it wrapped up in predator wire. But all in all, the hen house is done. Now we just need some hens to put inside and start making eggs for us. All right, what do you think?
I think it's awesome.
Yeah?
I think it turned out amazing. It looks great. We got, water. It's going to last them like at least probably a week or so.
I'd guess.
Same thing with the food. Even if you fill this thing up with all the 16 or whatever, I think that's still going to last you a good week. So that means if you need to leave town, you're going on a trip, you're going camping, whatever it is, like you're going to have water and food for your hens for plenty of time. In fact, honestly, the same thing here with the nesting boxes being on the inside and then it rolling away. You don't have any issue with the hens messing with the eggs. And as long as it's not like baking out here, the eggs are going to be just fine for days.
Nice.
You've got the door that automatically opens and lets your hens out of the hen house and into the main run area every single day. That's something that they need. You've even got automatic lighting. So really, like, this is a self-sustaining chicken coop. It basically runs itself, and the little bit that you're going to need to do to it on a regular basis could literally be done by a 3-year-old.
That's the idea. That was the whole plan.
Yep.
Well, I hope it works out that way. This is my first chicken coop that I've ever built and operated on my own. So I'm going to be learning as I go. And anything I do figure out, anything that doesn't work, we'll make sure to let you guys know about. So stay tuned for future content. And until next time, this is Jake and Rick, the Reliance Bros.